Alrighty, good morning, Arkansas. This is Assistant Chief Forecaster Kim back here once again. I'm here to give you guys a live update on the severe weather threat at this point. So I'm going to wait for some folks to come in at this point. And good morning, everybody. I know this is kind of, 8 o'clock in the morning, bright and early, but we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of severe weather we're going to be going over in this live stream here. So I'm just waiting for everybody to come in at this point. Just kind of going through the comments right now. I know everybody's going to be kind of asking questions and stuff like that here. So just keep that in mind here, and we'll get to questions after I get off the information at this time here. Okay, so I think I've maxed out everybody I'm going to get right now here. But yeah, good morning, everybody. At this point, I'm just waiting on some more people to come in. I think that's okay. All right, I've got a good amount of people in, so if someone comes in late, then we should be good to go here. Okay, so this is what we got at this point. We do have the enhanced risk that has been extended just a little bit up into west central Arkansas from Fort Smith. Now includes Hot Springs all the way down to El Dorado here. We've got the slight risk area from Fayetteville to Little Rock all the way down to Crossett. And then over there in eastern Arkansas, and that's a noticeable thing this morning is, remember we were talking about this in a live stream last night. This area over here in eastern Arkansas is now in the slight risk and now the marginal risk up here, and that does include Mississippi County as well here. So that's something that we're going to be monitoring very closely here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to break down the severe threat. We're going to talk about the timing, and then once I get all the information out, I'm going to go over everybody's questions here. So just kind of hold your questions just for a little bit. I'm going to kind of speed blitz through this, and then I'll get to your questions here. Okay, so first and foremost, this is the timing, okay? Now, keep in mind, throughout the day today, once we get more data in and we'll be able to look at real time, there may be some tweaks within this timing. However, the biggest thing is in western Arkansas. The timing has gotten a little bit earlier for you guys over there in western Arkansas compared to before. Remember, we were talking about at one point this line coming in at 9, 10 o'clock to 9, 10 o'clock tonight, going into the overnight hours, stuff like that. Timing has sped up just a little bit, so we're now looking at about 3 to 8 o'clock over there in western Arkansas. That does include southwestern Arkansas, and I'm very concerned, especially our folks down there in southwestern Arkansas. I'm going to talk more about that and your tornado threat coming up here in just a little bit. But the biggest thing is 3 to 8 over there in western Arkansas. Central Arkansas, we're looking right around that 7 p.m. time frame, and that's very crucial because that's around rush hour. Everyone's going out, stuff like that. You've got a lot of football games that are going to be going on during this time frame, so please keep that in mind. If you're a school administrator, you're listening to this live stream right now, be prepared for severe weather. If you've got games going on right around that 6, 7 o'clock time frame, and stay tuned with us, guys, because we're going to be going over warnings, we're going to be going over watches, and stuff like that here, okay? And then in eastern Arkansas, we're talking 8, 9 o'clock tonight, going into the overnight hours here. We should be wrapping up this severe threat right around that 1, 2 o'clock in the morning time frame here. However, it just depends on when does thunderstorms come out of Texas and Oklahoma, how fast they're moving, and if it's a line or it's a supercells. There's still some lingering questions right now, even with us being a little bit under 12 hours from this event starting. But over there in eastern Arkansas, we're going to have to watch that closely at this point. But we should be wrapping up by the time we get towards that 1, 2 o'clock in the morning time frame here. Now, I want to talk about the damaging wind threat first, and then I'm going to get to the tornado threat because I believe both of them are equally important. Okay, so here's the damaging wind threat at this point. So from Fort Smith down to Hot Springs, down to El Dorado, southwestern Arkansas, that red area, that is where the highest threat for damaging winds will be. Now, here's the thing with this. I know everybody's looking at that yellow area, and you're like, oh, hey, it's not much going on. It's going to be south and west of us. Doesn't major. Don't buy into that, okay? This is not so much as you're not going to see severe weather. This is so much as of a confidence thing, okay? I believe the majority of the state will see some sort of severe weather throughout tonight and into the early overnight hours here. Will it be a tornado threat? Will it be a damaging wind threat? Could it be a combination of both? Still remains to be seen. But the biggest thing is the entire state is under some sort of severe risk going into tonight. Very important that you stay plugged in, you stay with us. That way you're not missing any other updates, okay? But the biggest thing is, you can see on the left side of that graphic, do not ignore severe thunderstorm warnings for high winds. High winds can cause just as much damage as producing a tornado, okay? So keep that in mind. Don't ignore the severe thunderstorm warning. Severe thunderstorm warning goes off on your phone. Don't just ignore it or anything like that because it's not a tornado warning. Severe thunderstorm warnings, and you're going to see this a lot tonight, probably with the considerable or even destructive tag along with it because of the high winds with it. Keep that in mind, okay? High winds can be just as dangerous as dealing with a tornado, so don't ignore the damaging wind threat for tonight here, okay? Now, let's talk about the tornado threat here. And and one more thing, I've kept timing on these maps so that way if people are tuning in, they see the timing and stuff like that, so they're not worrying about anything else here. But here's the tornado threat here. Now, a couple of things have changed with this tornado threat here. First and foremost, eastern Arkansas. And I pointed this out last night that you guys were not safe over there. You guys were not going to get away with not having a tornado threat. That tornado threat has extended into northeastern Arkansas now. We're basically, Blytheville is the only city up there that's not under some sort of tornado risk, and that may end up being filled in later on today. Okay. Another thing, the medium tornado risk has been expanded further to the north and east now. That does include Hot Springs, just to the west of Camden and El Dorado here. If a moderate risk is issued with the lunch update, don't be shocked if this this medium tornado risk is expanded a little bit further closer to the metro. But the biggest thing I want to stress is you do not have to be in that orange area to take this threat seriously, okay? The tornado threat will continue throughout much of tonight and into the overnight hours. It is very important that you stay plugged in. You have a way to get warnings, and you stay with us, okay? Because we're going to be live later tonight. We're going to be going over tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, anything that's going on the board at this point. We're going to be going over all that information. So it's very important that you stay with us throughout the day and throughout tonight. That way you're not missing any kind of crucial information. Southwestern Arkansas, another thing I want to note with this. The hatched area, the potential of seeing strong tornadoes. That's the EF2s, EF3, EF4, higher from there. Goes from Mena to just to the west of Daisy. It does include now Pike County, down to Hope, and then down into Texarkana. That corridor in far southwestern Arkansas needs to be watched very, very closely, because what's going on is supercells are coming out of northeast Texas and southeast Oklahoma and coming straight into southwestern Arkansas. I believe only early onset, that will be where your highest tornado threat will be. However, if you're in a low or you're in a very low, don't just ignore it because it's not the orange or the red or the purple or whatever, okay? If you're in that low or in a very low area, you need to have a way to get warnings, because you may be dealing with tornado warnings as we get towards tonight and the early part of your Saturday morning here, okay? But timing remains the same, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Now, I would say down there in southwestern Arkansas, far southwest Arkansas, that 3 to 6 time frame will be the very concerning part of this event, because that's where your supercells are coming out of Texas, and that's where they're going to have that strong tornado potential. That doesn't mean that you can't get a strong tornado in the yellow area or in the green area. That's why I'm telling you guys, make sure you have a way to get warnings as we get towards the night here, okay? Now, biggest thing is, whenever you're dealing with tornadoes, know where to go when sheltering from a tornado, okay? Top room floors are not going to protect you, okay? You don't want to be on the exterior walls or anything like that, or a room with windows. You want to be in a basement. If you have no basement, you want to get into the interior room with no windows and put as many walls between you and the tornado itself at this point. If you have a basement, go into your basement and take your emergency supply kit with you. That's the biggest thing with this at this point. But you do not want to be at the top floor of rooms, and you do not want to be in an area that has windows or the wall itself is just going outside at that point. You don't want to be in the exterior walls at this point here, okay? And also, one more thing I want to get out, and then I'm going to start tackling questions, because I'm seeing a lot of them coming in at this point. Nighttime severe weather safety. You got to make sure that you know your counties and your surrounding counties. We're going to have a map posted on the page, probably after this live stream, going over that. It's not to bash anybody. It's a safety thing, because you have to think about yourself and the people around you. Know where to go during severe weather. Know your counties. Know your surrounding counties. Know your cities. Know your environment when severe weather strikes here, okay? Have that NOAA weather radio ready to go, especially for my folks over there in eastern Arkansas, because you're going to be dealing with this late in the evening and into the early overnight hours here. And a lot of people kind of rest up and stuff like that because, you know, a very busy Saturday's coming up. Make sure that weather radio is on before you go to sleep, okay? Also, your phones. Make sure your phones stay turned on as well. If we go live, you'll get an alert. You'll be able to tune in, and you'll be able to figure out what's going on at that point. But the biggest reminder, you got to stay away from windows, always go to an interior room on the lowest floor. If you live in a mobile home, and I know a lot of people have contacted me about living in mobile homes, trailers, double wides, stuff like that. So, and this goes back to the comment I made before about checking your surroundings. Kind of scope out some areas, like if there's a grocery store nearby, or there's a gas station nearby, or something like that, because you don't want to be in a mobile home or a trailer when you're dealing with an event of this magnitude. Okay, if at all possible, ask a family member or a friend. Say, hey, can I come chill at your place for tonight? I'll leave first thing in the morning, stuff like that. That'd be the best thing to do, because you don't want to be in a mobile home. You don't want to be in a trailer whenever you're dealing with severe weather, regardless if there's a tornado threat or a damaging wind threat or a hail threat. Mobile homes and trailers are just not safe at all whenever you're dealing with severe weather here. But that's the biggest thing I want to go over here, okay? So I'm going to go to Futurecast in just a bit, but I'm going to tackle some questions here. So if y'all have any questions, let me know. And also, tag your friends and share this video. I know a lot of people come to these live streams very, very late. Make sure you tag your family and friends. That way they're not missing any information here. But I do realize that this is early in Friday morning. Everybody's at work. You got a lot of stuff going on Friday morning. So I'm not really concerned about, numbers or anything like that. Just make sure they see it at some point today. That's the biggest thing I want to get out there at this point. Okay, so Cindy, I see your question. The Southwest Arkansas, does that include hot springs? Yes, it does. It does include hot springs. That's a damaging wind threat, high wind threat, and a tornado threat. Potentially significant tornadoes, especially for our folks down here in southwestern Arkansas. Let's go back to that real quick. I'm going to go over to our graphic real fast here. So there's the tornado risk breakdown from Mena to DeQueen to Hope to Texarkana. That's going to be the area of concern at this point for that strong tornado potential. But I want to stress so much, don't let southwest Arkansas keep you from taking this severe weather situation seriously. Okay? Just because you're in a yellow area, just because you're in a green area, we've seen this time and time again with every severe threat. Someone is always going to tell you, we're in a low risk area, don't worry about it, you don't need any, blah, blah, blah from there. Ignore it, okay? Because we've seen stuff take off in very low risk areas and in low risk areas. Could this thing be a gigantic bust? Most definitely, okay? Not every severe threat's 100% guaranteed. But I'd rather for you guys to be safe and prepared than for you guys not to have a plan ready to go, and then a tornado warning happens or a severe thunderstorm warning happens, and you're running around with your head cut off at that point. So just keep that in mind here. But yes, that does include your area down there in southwestern Arkansas. Biggest thing, Dustin, I think you got that comment. Keep your phones charged. Strong winds can knock out power as well. That's the biggest thing on that bottom left side of that graphic with the power outage risk. It's high for a reason. Be prepared for power outages tonight, okay? Be prepared for that potential. I'm going to show you that here in just a little bit. But right now is the best time to ask questions here, because we're not going to be able to kind of answer questions or anything like that later on. We're not going to be able to get to you later on because we're going to be in coverage mode. But this is the time now to ask questions at this point here. So, Kayla, I get off at 5, and that's what I was saying. Over there in western Arkansas, and you guys are kind of in that weird period coming in about 4 or 5 o'clock. With the risk area, so not with the risk area, with the rush hour and stuff like that. So you're getting off of work, warning goes out, find a gas station, find a grocery store, stuff like that. If you can get to your house quick, do it, because here's the problem: your storms are going to be moving at 50 to 60 miles per hour. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and take a look at that real quickly here. I think I've got our Futurecast loaded up, so bear with me for just a bit. So there's our Futurecast model real quick, okay? So you can see by the time we get towards 2 o'clock this afternoon, we've got some cells developing out there in eastern Texas, southeastern and eastern Oklahoma, and this is going to continue throughout the overnight hours tonight here, okay? Throughout this afternoon, this evening, and into the overnight hours. So you can see 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to stop it right here. You can see Fayetteville, Fort Smith. I think this model may be a little bit too slow with this development here, but you can see a lot of storms that goes from Fayetteville to Fort Smith down to Texarkana, and you see those purples, and even in some cases down there in northeast Texas, those bright white cores within that line. That is indicative of supercells. That's indicative of tornado potential. So keep that in mind as this line pushes eastward here. You're going to have to watch the situation closely. I do believe the HRR may be a little bit too slow with development here and how it's projecting the radar, but you get the point. If you're going to a football game tonight, and a lot of football games got moved to 5, 6 o'clock, tonight. Keep that in mind that you will have to deal with the potential seeing severe weather as we get towards the night here, okay? But keep your phones charged. Don't unplug from us today, guys. That's the biggest thing here, okay? So I worry about any storms over there in Mississippi County. Seems like be a lightning rod for bad storms over there here. And I was telling you earlier, Allison, I think last night we were talking about how Mississippi County wasn't even at risk, and you guys are back in that risk for tonight here. So you can see with the Futurecast, let's take this out a little bit. And you can see about 8 o'clock, there's a line of storms coming into Fayetteville, to Fort Smith. Let's zoom this down a little bit so you guys can see a little bit more of cities here. But you can see from Russellville to Fayetteville to Fort Smith. There's Mena over here, Texarkana, El Dorado, Little Rock, Searcy, Jonesboro. This is right around that 8 o'clock time frame here, okay? And then you can see, look what happens. As these storms are moving northeast, notice the curvature, and this is why the HR is high resolution for a reason, because you can kind of get an idea on what storms are going to be looking like. I'm very concerned about the tornado threat tonight here, guys. And this is in the area that's in a low risk right now. So keep that in mind here. We're talking that 8, 9 o'clock time frame for central Arkansas, down into southern Arkansas, and then later than that, going into the midnight, 1 o'clock time frame for our folks over there in eastern Arkansas. So if y'all have any questions, if you know somebody that has severe weather questions, tag them in this live stream. Tell them what's going on. That way we can get to you quick before coverage gets started. Because once coverage gets started, it's going to be very difficult to get the questions, guys. It still can happen. And I do have forecasters that are going to be kind of in the chats and stuff like that going over everything. But it's going to be very difficult later on tonight here, okay? So, Stacy, thank you so much. I do appreciate y'all for being here and stuff like that. I know it's kind of first thing, 9 o'clock in the morning on a Friday. Y'all hear me talking about severe weather. But definitely this is a pretty decent risk at this point here. Okay, so Misty, once this passes through southwestern Arkansas, will we be in the clear? Yes. So I think you guys will be done with these severe threats. I'm going to back this up. Technology decided, go poof. Let's see. So I'd say about that 9, 10 o'clock time frame, you should be completely done with this event. However, it's the timing of this starting off is what's hurting y'all so much right now. If it was starting at 11 or midnight like we were originally thinking, it wouldn't be terrible. But the problem is it's starting at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's peak daytime heating. Worst time to get severe weather. So this should be over with by the time we get towards that 9, 10 o'clock time frame for southwestern Arkansas here. So will Poinsett County see any severe weather tonight? I want to make this crystal clear because I know somebody is going to come in this live stream asking, about specific counties and cities and stuff like that. I don't mind answering them, but I'm going to tell you the same thing I'm going to tell everybody else. Everybody's in the same risk. The entire state's in a risk at this point. This is a statewide severe weather event. No questions asked. Okay, now better threats in southwestern Arkansas, but everybody's in a risk. So for those that are asking about specific cities and counties and stuff like that, the answer is the same for everybody else. There's severe weather potential for your area. You need to watch the situation closely and stay with us for any rapidly changing weather development here. Okay, Jesse, I had a great question. Stacy, we'll get to your comment here in just a little bit. Do you think this will be a PDS watch? And no, and I'm going to tell you why. Let's back this model up a little bit. Now, obviously, this is the HR. You don't want to take the HR for granted. But notice how they're in a line. Okay, whenever you're talking about PDS potential, that means, for those that are wondering, that's particularly dangerous situation. Okay, very rare. I mean, very, very rare to get a particularly dangerous situation watch. It's very rare. You don't see it in every single severe weather event. That's the biggest thing. You don't see it in every event. They're rare for a reason. SBC has them in that forbidden closet for a reason, because they're meant for high-end outbreak type events. Okay. Do I think there will be Wrangler tornado watches? Oh, most definitely. And it will probably go from the majority, if not all, the state. But PDS tornado watches, it's going to be a very, very questionable on storm mode. What are we looking at? Stuff like that here. So I say it would be your PDS levels right here. I say it'd be right here. I don't think it's quite there just yet. It's a great question, by the way. And it's worth noting because, down there in northeastern Texas, they're in the hatched area for the strong tornado potential. If they do it, like I said, I don't control it. That's Norman, Oklahoma. They have their own office. They're the ones that issue the watches. But if they were to do it, I don't think it's going to include the natural state. I think it's going to be southeast Oklahoma, northeast Texas, where the supercells initially start getting going. That's where your tornado threat is going to be at its peak, and then it's going to kind of decline just a little bit. But I think throughout tonight and into the overnight hours here, I think we're going to have a legitimate tornado threat across the board here. Okay, so yeah, I know it's kind of the worst time for everybody, you're picking your daughters up from school and stuff like that. The biggest thing is this afternoon, if there's a tornado warning, like let's say there's like 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon before school gets out, and there's a tornado warning. Don't go pick them up, okay? Because schools have their own protocols they got to go through, and you're putting your life and your kids' life at risk by getting them out of that structure and trying to take them back home, because you're having to account for, one, these storms are going to be moving at 60 to 70 miles per hour. They're not going to be moving slow. So your reaction time is going to be limited today. Two, you're out in the elements when this thing is coming in instead of being in a sturdy shelter like a school building. So, and in most cases, I don't even think they will allow you to pick up your kid because of that fact. So keep that in mind. If you're in western Arkansas, this is coming in 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, there's a warning that goes out. Don't go try to pick them up, okay? They're safe. They have their own protocols. They're thinking about their safety, and you should be thinking about your safety as well. So keep that in mind across the board. Tornado warning goes out 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Don't go pick up your kid from school, okay? That's the worst thing to do. You want to stay back, let that tornado warning pass, and then go get them, okay? I know it's your child, it's your heart, stuff like that. I completely understand, but I promise you, schools have their own protocols if that were to happen, okay? They have their own safety plans in place here, and by getting them out of that safety plan is putting them at risk along with yourself, because you're having a storm coming at you at that speed, and you're trying to get back home and trying to seek shelter. So don't do that. Wait till the storm passes, and then go to the school and stuff like that and get your kid out of that situation. But that's the biggest thing right now, if the earlier timing is realized across western Arkansas here. So keep that in mind across the board here. Okay, so I'm going to go back over to, I saw your comment earlier. Okay, so Stacy, cloud cover and spitting rain in Mina. If the cloud cover stays, will it lower the risk a little bit? Cloud cover is not going to stay long. This is what we call warm air advection. Basically what's going on is you have all that warm air from the Gulf of Mexico streaming north over a somewhat cooler environment. So yes, there's some cloud cover, some morning clouds, a little bit of sprinkles here and there. That's going to clear out by the time we get towards lunch. So that's not going to lower your threat at all here across the board. I wish that were to be the case, but unfortunately, that's the situation that we're in. I don't think we're going to be blessed enough to see widespread cloud cover with this event here until the system starts coming our way here. By that point, I do believe we'll be dealing with severe weather across the area here. Okay, so let me see here. That question here, now the thing is with this, if this particular model verifies, you're going to be good to go in western Arkansas, because they'll be coming in at 7 o'clock. The majority of my concern is for the Friday night football games. I'm not too concerned about the schools unless an earlier timing is realized, but I'm really concerned about the Friday night football games, because they're going to be going on at 6, 7 o'clock, stuff like that, and this is where the severe threat's going to be starting to ramp up. So that's what I'm really worried about. Now, I said if earlier timing is realized, then we'll be talking a different conversation. But I'm really more concerned about the Friday night football games and people going out for dinner and stuff like that. That's what I'm really concerned about across the board here. But for those that are worried about school and stuff like that, the biggest thing I want to stress, they have their own safety protocols, so you don't have to worry about it at all here. Okay, so supposed to be traveling from Oklahoma this afternoon. Where's the storm moving in? Let's go over to our Futurecast real quick. Okay, so you're coming in from going to Oklahoma. Excuse me. Where's the storm going to be moving in from? So it's going to be coming from the west. It's going to be starting out just to the east of Oklahoma City, and then they're going to start developing as we get towards that 4 or 5 o'clock time frame over there in eastern Oklahoma, and then they're going to start rapidly moving east. The biggest thing I want to talk to you guys about real quick before I answer you more questions: storm motions. Storm motions are going to be ridiculous tonight. You're talking about 55 upwards to 60, 65 mile per hour moving storms. That means your reaction time is not going to be as high as it normally would be if it was moving at 20 to 30 miles per hour. So the biggest thing I want to stress to you guys, if a warning goes out, don't wait for it to touch down. Don't go outside to make yourself famous or anything like that. Okay. The biggest thing I want to tell you guys: if a warning goes out, you need to get to shelter quick because you're not going to have time. If you're outside of the warning, we're going to do this a lot tonight with the early advanced warning and stuff like that. You know, if we tell you you're downstream cities and you're about 30 minutes to an hour out, take that time because you have more time than somebody that's in that current warning at that point. These storms are going to be moving quick. This is a fast-moving, progressive system. Storms are not going to waste any time going over areas here, okay? So that's the biggest thing. Keep in mind that storm motions are going to be ridiculously fast. This is not going to be our normal event where we have storms moving at 30 to 40 miles per hour. They're easily going to be moving at 50 to 60. So keep that in mind here across the board here. So stay alert tonight. Slight risk across the board. Let's go back to that real quick. This is the tornado risk. I want to talk about that too. Under a risk for severe weather, no one knows how bad it will actually be. Just keep your phones on for any warnings that get issued. Kim, great comment. That's the best thing I can tell you, okay? Don't be scared. I know a lot of people have storm anxiety, which is perfectly understandable. But the biggest thing is you got to be prepared, okay? When you're dealing with severe weather, you want to be 100% prepared because if you go in it blind and worrying and stuff like that, it's gonna blindside you every single time. If you need any information, if you need anything, feel free to inbox us. That's why we're here. Message us, message the page, stuff like that. We may not get to you immediately, but we will try our darnest to get to you as quickly as possible. So please take that advantage, guys, okay? Also, at the very top of the page here, and a lot of people have been kind of figuring out why we're getting post lates and stuff like that. We figured out the problem. There's a button now that has the follow settings. Make sure you turn live on all live videos. That way you can get all the notifications whenever we go live here, okay? So that's the biggest thing across the board. But if you have any questions like that, if I don't get to you in this live stream, make sure to inbox us, okay? And I know a lot of people's anxiety is through the roof right now here, and that's perfectly understandable. You know, you have a severe threat, you have a tornado risk and stuff like that. It triggers that storm anxiety, which is perfectly fine. But the biggest thing I want to stress to you guys right now, take a deep breath. We got you guys here. If any warnings get issued, you know what to do, okay? I'm going to go back to this real quick. This is what you do if there's a tornado warning, okay? Get to that basement, or if you don't have a basement, get to that interior room with no windows, center portion of your home, put as many walls to union tornado as possible, and you'll be good to go here, okay? Same thing with damage and winds. By the way, the damage and wind threat, do that as well. If it goes tornado pause, or the severe thunderstorm warning has a considerable tag, or the destructive tag, or whatever, take those same tornado precautions because it helps you regardless in a tornado or in a high wind situation because you never want to be near windows in that particular moment. Stacy, thank you so much for the compliment, by the way. We try our best here across the board. So, Amber, great question. Do you think these severe storms will hold together all the way to Jonesboro? That is going to be a yes. I think because you guys just now got put under this slight risk. I do believe they will hold together long enough to get to Jonesboro here. Now, beyond Jonesboro, they will start to wane because your energy will start moving away, your system starts moving away and stuff like that, and it becomes just a heavy rainmaker. But I do believe they will hold together to get to Jonesboro later tonight in the early part of your overnight hours at this point here, okay? So how bad is it going to be down there in El Dorado? Let's go back to that real quick. I'm going to talk about tornado threat, then we'll talk about damage and wind threat. So El Dorado, you're in a low risk for tornadoes. I use low real loosely because the biggest thing is, even though you're in a low risk, you still need to have that back in mind that, hey, if there's a tornado warning, I need to be ready to go. And keep in mind, one more thing I want to stress to you guys too. Keep in mind, this is the 8 o'clock update. We've got a lunch update that's going to happen in about 3 hours, but you're going to see me, by the way, back on live probably about 1 o'clock going over that. And then we have another update that's going to come out around 3 or 4 o'clock. So keep that in mind across the board. We still got several updates from the Storm Prediction Center that's going to come out. And this risk could change significantly between now and then. Remember the December 10th, 2021 event? We were talking about the enhanced risk for much of eastern Arkansas, stuff like that. And then the lunch update came out, and it was a moderate. So that's the thing. Stuff can change rather quickly. What Storm Prediction Center is doing right now, they're looking at real-time data, trying to analyze the situation. They're going to go from there. So you've noticed this kind of subtle changes with the risk over the last couple of days. that will continue over the next couple of hours as well, because we've got 3 more updates we're going to get through before this risk gets started across the board here. Okay, so the hail risk. We haven't talked so much about the hail risk because the hail risk is super low for Arkansas. The biggest hail threat is going to be in eastern Oklahoma and northeast Texas. It's a very, 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 very low hail risk. This is going to be a damaging wind and a tornado risk versus a hail threat, okay, which favors what we call QLCS style tornadoes, which is your spin up tornadoes along the line. So that's the biggest thing across the board here. But that's why we haven't talked so much about the hail threat, because the hail threat is just super low across the board here. It's much greater to our west with this event here. Okay, so let me see here. Can you show the radar when it's getting closer to wind? Let's pull that up real quick. I'm sorry about that, guys. I didn't mean to take the Futurecast off. I was just answering that one question. But give me 1 second. I'm going to see if I can get this up. So there's the Futurecast radar here. You can see right around at 11 midnight time frame coming into Jonesboro here. And I know that's the worst, absolute worst timing to get severe weather here. I've had a lot of people kind of debate when's the best time to get severe weather. I would take it 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, even though it's a higher risk than I ever would at midnight, 1 o'clock, because you're sleeping, your body is more relaxed, and your reaction time is just sluggish, and it's just for everybody. So I would much rather have it in the afternoon and evening than I would overnight. But unfortunately over here, that's the wind area, by the way, Jeffrey. Jonesboro and stuff like that. That's going to be right around that midnight, 1 o'clock time frame here. Okay, so Anna, no problem. That's what we're here. That's what we do. That's why we keep you guys updated on the latest here. Definitely, I agree with that comment as well. Schools are generally safer than most homes right now. Ain't that the truth? Let me see here. Okay, so yeah, our district won't let the buses run into, and that's what I was saying. Most cases with schools, they won't even let you go pick up your kid unless the threat is completely over with. I know I've been out of school for about 6 years, so I don't know if they've changed that and stuff like that from time to time, but in most cases they won't even allow you to go pick your kid up unless the threat is completely over with here. So, that is great news. Mina has postponed the games for tonight. That is the best news I've heard all day here. I was wondering, because I was seeing those games being delayed to 6, 7 o'clock tonight, and I was telling Derek last night, I was like, I don't think that's a good time. I just don't think that's gonna be good, because you're gonna have severe threat coming in at that point. But yeah, if they can postpone it, move it to tomorrow, that'll be perfect, because your threat will be over with about that point here. Okay, so yeah, there was at one time in high school there was potential tornadoes. They released this at 1, 2 o'clock. I don't know if Arkansas does that. I know over in Alabama and Mississippi and stuff like that, where they're more tornado prone, they do let people get out of school early. I wish Arkansas would adapt that same policy. But yeah, so that's the biggest thing. I don't know if they do that nowadays or whatever. But over there, I know over there in Mississippi and Alabama, they can even have. Here's the thing, and this is the funny thing about the marginal and the slight risk areas. They do that in a 5% tornado risk. They don't wait till it goes 10 or 15 or anything like that. They do it even in a low tornado risk because of the fact that the tornado threat's there. So that's the biggest thing. That's why I tell you guys so much. Don't let your guard down just because it's a 5%, because 5% can overperform at any given moment here. Okay, Stacy, great comment. Know your county, know your cities around you. That's the biggest thing. And it's not to harp on anybody or anything like that. It's a safety precaution. It's about yourself, people around you. You gotta know where to go, guys, when severe weather strikes here across the board. So, what is the best way for law enforcement to advise you if they see something on the ground? If you work for law enforcement, Nicholas, always inbox us, and that's gonna go for anybody that works in law enforcement. You see anything on the ground, feel free to inbox us. Feel free to message us and let us know. We really do appreciate the weather spotters and law enforcement and stuff like that, because you guys tell us what we're seeing on radar. You guys are our eyes out there in the field. So if y'all can do that for me, if you're listening, your law enforcement stuff like that, I fully appreciate it, man. But the best way is to message the page and stuff like that. Basically, we're going to have a server up over here, and if you work for law enforcement, stuff like that, obviously you're going to be a little bit more prioritized versus everybody else, because you're going to be sending reports in. But that's the biggest thing. But inbox the page. That'd be the best way to get in contact with us at this point here. Okay, so Zach Holder, KAIT up there in Jonesboro. If I don't know if I butchered that or not. Region 8. My mind's 8 o'clock in the morning, so my mind was like all over the place. But up there in Region 8, he was talking about some storms will be rotating over there. Yes. And I'm going to go back to the tornado risk real quickly here. You guys are now in that 2%. That's the biggest thing I was telling you guys, because last night the risk went about right here, and now it's over here. So some storms will be rotating as they're moving into northeastern Arkansas. You guys are not out of the woods out there in northeastern Arkansas by any stretch of the matter. Don't let that very low risk sway you away from not taking this severe threat seriously. You guys are just about as in it as us here in the metro or down there in southwestern Arkansas. You guys are in the game along with us. It's the entire state at this point here. Okay, so let me see here. Definitely sleep in my basement tonight with the kids. That'd be a great thing. Where do I go shelter in a hotel? Most hotels, and it just depends on location, stuff like that. Obviously, the smaller cities are not going to have this luxury. But I know in the bigger cities, they have underground shelters that you can take. That's something that you have to go up to the clerk or the manager or something like that and ask them about that and see what they do. But in most cases, they have a room ready to go in case there is a tornado warning or something like that. They have a room that kind of, people can take shelter in if that's the case here. So, Veronica, good morning. So before I know it's 9 o'clock in the morning on a slight risk. Not slight risk. I saw that one comment. 9 o'clock in the morning on a Friday. It's bright and early. Sun's coming out and everything. A lot of people are either waking up or at work or anything like that here. You guys will not see, this will not be the last time you guys see me, by the way. You'll see me at lunch right around that 1:30 time frame with our new update that's going to come out later on here. Okay, so Arkansas released early in severe weather before, but it's got to be coming in at a certain time, and a tornado risk has to be high. I do agree with that. One thing I would argue with that is if there were to be a high-end wind threat. If there were to be a high-end wind threat, I would love that same policy to be acted with the wind threat too, because it doesn't have to be necessarily just tornadoes all the time. If you get a significant damaging wind threat coming in at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that could pose just as big as a risk as it would with a tornado. So I would love to see that same policy kind of acted with the damaging wind threat too. But I love that Arkansas has done that before. They do release early for severe weather, but it has to be coming in at the same time here. Okay, so great comment. Don't do the typical Arkansas thing and go stand on the porch and watch it come to you. First and foremost, this thing is going to be coming at you at 60 to 70 miles per hour. You go standing outside, and I've seen this in warnings before in Oklahoma and Texas and stuff like that. They've stressed so much that if it's coming at you at that speed, your next action could potentially be your last at that point, because you're putting yourself at risk by going outside. Because if it's coming at you 70 miles per hour, you've got to account for the time it's going to take for you to get to said shelter, any people around you, any pets, or anything like that. Because if you go outside, then everybody else is going to be wanting to go outside. And then your pets, you're the puppers and stuff like that, they're going to be wanting to go outside. And then tornado warning happens, 70 mile per hour moving storm. You got to get everybody from outside into your shelter in a quick amount of time. So don't do it. Don't go outside. Don't try to go and look at the tornado or anything like that. I promise you guys, we're not going to be hurting for footage. Okay? Don't put yourself at risk trying to be famous tonight. Don't do it. Just don't do it. It ain't worth it. I promise you, it's not worth it here. Okay? So let me see here. So Jason, I see your comment, and this is from YouTube, by the way. Will hot springs be getting tornadoes today? The biggest thing with the tornado risk, and I want everybody that's listening to this live stream right now to prioritize this risk. Give me 1 second. This risk right here, along with the tornado threat. Okay, take this risk just as seriously as you would the tornado threat, because we've seen high damaging wind threats before, and I'm pushing this out to everybody for a reason, because I know somebody tonight is going to see that high-end wind threat, and then they're going to be, kind of wondering what's going on and stuff like that, kind of figuring out why wasn't I warned about the wind threat. This is why we talk about the wind threat, because the wind threat can be just as bad as dealing with a tornado here. That was my phone, by the way. But anyways, keep that in mind here, okay? But to answer your question, Jason, you do have a medium risk of seeing tornadoes in Hot Springs. It doesn't 100% right on the dot guarantee that you're going to see a wedge go right through Hot Springs. And we can't predict that. You'll never will see us predict that. It's virtually impossible to predict that. But the biggest thing is be ready to go, have a plan ready in action, and be ready if a warning gets issued across the board. But that's the biggest thing across the area. Andy, great point. And thank you for reminding me about that, okay? I meant to show this last night, but I found it this morning. This right here, it's a battery pack. It's the most smallest thing on the planet, but this thing lasts us 9 hours, okay? It comes with a port right here, okay? Charge your phones tonight. If you lose power, get one of these bad boys, okay? These things are clutch. They come in great use whenever we're dealing with power outages and stuff like that. But use those battery packs real good, because if you lose your power, they'll charge your phone for 8-9 hours. Okay, that one in particular is a really good one. We've had to use it before whenever we lost power at the weather center, stuff like that here. But get one of those battery packs if you can today, guys. That's the biggest thing. Prepare for power outages across the board. Let's go back to that wind threat. And that's what I was telling you guys. From Waldron to Mena to Texarkana, El Dorado, up towards Hot Springs, that'll be the biggest thing across the board. Autumn, if you find a nearby gas station or store, that'd be much safer than an apartment. 100%, I agree. Study your surroundings. You know, download Google Maps, stuff like that. Kind of look around and see, hey, is there a store nearby? Is there a gas station nearby? Is there something I can go that's much more sturdier than where I'm at right now? That way, if a tornado warning gets issued and it's moving at 70 miles per hour, hey, I know what to do. I got to get in the car, got to get there and get the show. Because most legitimate businesses will allow you to go in and say, hey, I need a seat shelter, and they'll let you in, and they'll take you to shelter. They will do that. I don't know any businesses that won't, but most businesses will do that here, okay? So a lot of towns have tornado safe rooms for people who live in mobile homes or don't have a safe place to go. Yes, I do agree. There's a lot of towns that do have that luxury across the board here, okay? So let me see here. Let me go here. Okay, only report what you see. Radars are great at pointing rotations, but meteorologists heavily rely on trained storm spotters if it's on the ground. That's the biggest thing. You guys heard it a lot back in April. Remember that tornado emergency, that false tornado emergency? I know it's throwing weather drama back in here, but if you're going out there, you're a storm spotter, I'm going to confirm it before I post it. I promise you I will. I'm going to double check rotation. I'm going to be asking questions and everything like that. I'm going to confirm it before I post it on air. So keep that in mind here. If you're going out storm spotting, you're trying to contact us, you better make sure it's legit, because it's not going to get posted if it's not across the board here. Also, that's a great point. I think Dustin made that comment. Make sure you notify the National Weather Service in Little Rock as well. You can go on their website, and there's a phone number. If you can't find it, message us, and we'll provide that phone number for you. But make sure you notify them as well, because they're in control of the warnings. They're in control. We're not in control of the warnings. We just report. They're in control of putting the warnings out. They have all the software and stuff for the warnings. So if you see a tornado, you need to tell them first before you tell us. That way they can get the warning out, and then we can report it. So that's the biggest thing across the board. If you're going out, you're storm spotting stuff like that across the air here. Yeah, 4 battery packs, they come in clutch. They come in big time clutch whenever you're dealing with power outages as well here. Okay, so let me see here. I think I've gone over all the questions here. I've gotten to the bottom of all the questions here. Let me double check everything. I'm going to stay on here for just a little bit longer, and I'm going to recap everything. Then I'm going to hop off of here, recap about 3 hours, wait for the notes and update from the SBC come out, and then I'll be back live right around lunch. So that way everybody can kind of tune in at this point here. Okay, so how serious will it be in Cabot? Cabot, you're right here. Okay, I'm going to draw this out. You're right in here. Okay, if you're Cabot spot right in here. Okay, so that means you're in a low damaging wind risk. You're in a low tornado risk at this point, and the hail threat is very low. Okay, now don't take that. I use that word low very loosely, because, like I said before, that's a tornado threat. That's a damaging wind threat. That's a hail threat. So have a plan ready to go. Be ready to seek shelter if needed. Heed those warnings, and not just tornado warnings either. Severe thunderstorm warnings as well. High winds can cause just as much damage as tornadoes. You guys would be surprised on what damaging winds can do. If you know anybody in Iowa, ask them. Ask them. They deal with the ratios left and freaking right. They'll tell you in a minute how significant damaging winds can be. So that's the biggest thing here. Okay, so for the younger ones that can't comprehend your panic or anything like that, take deep breaths. and try to make a game out of it, help take your mind off of it. That's the biggest thing. And I want to make this perfectly clear to everybody. If you have storm anxiety, if you need information, don't feel bad about messaging us, guys, okay? We're not robots here at Arkansas Weather Watchers. We're all humans, okay? We feel the same emotion. I'd be lying to you right now if I told you that this event didn't make me nervous or anything like that, okay? The biggest thing is, if you need that information, message us, guys. We're here for a reason. No shame or anything like that. I don't know anybody that would shame someone for having anxiety. But the biggest thing is, feel free to message us, guys. Okay, that's the biggest thing here. We're all human here. We struggle with emotions and stuff like that. We know what these risks can do. Feel free to message us, guys. That's why we're here. We're here for a reason here. Okay. Thank you for keeping us safe. You're the best. I appreciate that, Amber. Let me see here. If y'all have any more questions, let me know. This will not be the last time you see me, by the way. You're gonna see me a lot. I'm gonna be that one annoying guy all day that's gonna be like, hey, there's a severe threat. Hey, there's a severe threat. Hey, there's a severe threat all day. Kind of getting you guys, making sure you're staying reminded across the board here. Okay, so Shannon, this is what I love to see right here. Thank you for sharing this with me. I love seeing those comments, guys. So okay, so I'm worried. I'm in an apartment on the third floor, have nowhere else to go. So if you're on the third floor in an apartment, most apartment complexes on the third floor, there's a bottom floor, there's the first floor. Go there, because that's your safest place. You want to get, if you're in an apartment, you don't want to go up, because that's the worst place you want to go. You want to go to the bottom. You want to go to the first floor, stuff like that, and find that shelter. Somebody's going to help you out in that apartment complex. I promise you they will. But if you're on that third floor, make your way down to that first floor when a warning goes out across the area here. Okay, so storms, Justin, great comment. Storms do not know risk areas. They don't discriminate between a marginal or a slight risk or enhanced risk or anything like that. They just happen. So you can be in a marginal risk and see a tornado warning. You can be in an enhanced risk, see one. You can see severe thunderstorm warnings in general thunderstorm threat before. Keep that in mind across the area, guys. They don't discriminate in terms of risk areas or anything like that here. Okay, so definitely, let me see here. Let me double check on the comments real quickly here. Amber, thank you for that. Don't just follow us. We have storm chasers. By the way, yeah, we're gonna have storm chasers out and about tonight. Kind of setting up across the board, keeping us updated. Storm spotters as well. If you're a storm spotter and you're a legit storm spotter, not just someone that's just going out, doing that. If you're a legit storm spotter, message us, and we'll get in contact with you and kind of figure out in terms of how to set the reports and stuff like that. If you work with law enforcement, you're listening to this, message us, guys. We have a whole server back here that's going to prioritize all the messages and stuff like that. We're going to need you guys more than ever tonight for this severe event. Okay, so I've sheltered in the come and go before fridge area because they were out. Most gas stations, stores, and hospitals will allow you to take shelter. That's the biggest thing. Don't feel bad about going in there and saying, hey, I need to take shelter, because any good human being is going to see, hey, somebody else is struggling, trying to figure out where to go, and their life's at risk. Come on in. Hey, come on in. Let's ride this out together here. Most good human beings will do that across the board here. Okay, so thank you for the update. We'll check back this afternoon. We'll have our hatches battened across the area, service all secure. That's the biggest thing, guys. I'm just gonna hop off of here. I'm just answering a few more questions. You guys will see me this afternoon. Like I said, I'm gonna be that annoying guy that's poking your back every 5 seconds, saying, "Hey, there's severe threat. There's severe threat. There's severe threat today." So you're gonna see me a lot today, and then you're gonna see our chief forecaster Derek here right around game time this afternoon when the severe threat gets going across the area here. Okay, so let me see. Here's the thing here, and also one more thing. I know a lot of people get irritated when someone's anxiety is through the roof. You should never get irritated when someone's anxiety through the roof, because it happens. There is not a human being on this earth that does not deal with some sort of anxiety. I don't care who you are. Somebody at some point you deal with anxiety. So kind of feel that out. Somebody's dealing with storm anxiety, guys. Don't give them a hard time about it. They're going to do the same thing across the board here. Okay, so definitely, Amanda, great point. Power outages don't just happen with tornadoes. The trees still as weak from the drought. One blast that wind, 70 miles per hour wind, and they'll fall. That's the biggest thing. That's why that power outage risk is high right now, because the trees, even though we've had some soaking rain, It's not enough. It's not enough. We need more. We need more than what we're getting right now to get out of this drought. But that's the biggest thing. Power outages can happen whenever you're dealing with high winds at this point here. Okay, so I think that's it in terms of all the comments right now. I'm just scrolling through everything. Actually, I see yours. How long would it last in eastern Arkansas? Should be out here. Let's go back over here real quick. Here it is in eastern Arkansas by midnight tonight. Let's take this out a little bit. And you can see by 1 a.m., 2 a.m., it should be getting out of here about that 2, 3 o'clock in the morning time frame. It's going to be a rough night for our folks over there in eastern Arkansas. Coming in throughout the overnight hours, stuff like that. You know, if any warnings get issued or anything like that, it's going to be a low night. It's going to be a low night. We're fully prepared for that here in the weather center here. But we're going to keep you guys updated on that here. Okay, so Sandy, have an emergency kit ready. Good idea. Also, charge your devices. I fully agree. Also, one more thing, no guarantees, but the risk area is there for a reason. Stay alert. And you guys are going to see me this afternoon. We'll have more updates coming this afternoon here. And I want to ask everybody a question while I have everybody here. Does 1 o'clock work for everybody? Because I believe that's around when everybody goes to lunch and stuff like that here. So, actually, no. I'm going to take that back. It's going to be about 11:45 noon when I go live. It's not going to be 1 o'clock because the risk area comes out at 11:30. So it's going to be about 15, 20 minutes because we have to update all the graphics and stuff. So we're talking about 11:45 noon. So about 2 to 3 hours from now, you'll see me back on here as well. So let me double check this and get on here. Okay, so what does that mean, EF2 tornado? Let's go back to that tornado risk real quick. And like I said before, everybody's asking the tornado questions. You need to take that damage and wind threat just as serious as the tornado threat here, because this is not going to be just a tornado-driven event. This is a tornado combination with the high wind threat at this point. But this is the tornado threat. What does it mean, EF2 plus? Basically, you're talking over 100 mile per hour winds whenever you're dealing with EF2 tornado, and it goes from there. It's an enhanced Vegeta scale for a reason that rates the tornadoes. Now, here's the thing. Tornado happens tonight by some off chance, okay? You're not going to see it rated. You're not going to see it rated right off the board because they got to go out and do survey damage and damage surveys, and all the other stuff. So it'll be a couple of days before they get all the information here. But the biggest thing is, guys, don't wait for it to touch down. Don't wait for it to be basically from where I'm at to this screen in front of me. Don't let it be that close, because if it's that close, you're done. It's game over at that point. Make it that if it's 70 miles, moving you at 70 miles per hour, get your behind in shelter. Okay? Don't try to go out and make yourself famous or anything like that. I promise you. Facebook likes and Facebook views and all the other stuff, it ain't worth your life, folks. It ain't worth it. I promise you. We respect the photos, we respect the videos, but we want you guys to be safe while doing it. So that's the biggest thing. If you do it safely, if you're away from the path, you do it safely, that's fine. But if you're in the direct path of this and you're trying to go out and get footage or anything like that, don't do it. Don't do it. You're risking your life and also the people around you, because they're going to see you go out and they're going to be like, oh, okay, it must not be that bad. They're going to go out along with you, and then everybody's in the same boat. So just keep that in mind across the air here. Okay, so the damaging wind threat up to 70 miles per hour. Honestly, you could be talking about the damaging wind threat going up as high as 80 to 90 miles per hour in some of these stronger storms. That's what I'm worried about. The damaging wind threat is just, it's about right here. It's like it's looking at you dead in the face, and it's like, hey, watch me close, because that's what I could potentially be doing. 80, 90 mile per hour winds. It could be as high as that across the board. So, yeah, I saw Elizabeth, how it could be coming in earlier. We'll have to wait and see. I saw the HR. I think the HR may be just a little bit slower. I think it may be coming in a little sooner. Now, if it starts coming in at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Western Arkansas is going to be in some serious stuff at this point here, okay? So, I think that is all the questions at this point. I'm not seeing anything else across the area here. I saw that one from White County, which is going to be up here in Searcy. Low tornado threats. Low damaging wind threats. So you have a damaging wind, you have a tornado threat in White County. Timing 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. across that board. I hope that answers your question. So let me see here. Okay, so yeah, I see that. Yes, and you can see this is the damaging wind threat. The biggest concern I would have is with this line coming in. we're gonna have an update come out at 11:30. I'll be real curious to see what SBC does with that that particular update here. Okay, but let me see here. I'm gonna go over everything right now. Thank you. By the way, thank you for that comment. I saw one comment about trusting this more. I do appreciate that across the board. So let me see here. Lots more. My sister is in nursing clinics and can't watch for updates. Kayla, if she can't watch it, just tell her the biggest thing is if a warning goes out, be ready to seek shelter. You don't have to necessarily watch our videos or anything like that to get an update. But the biggest thing I would tell her, Kayla, is just say, hey, these guys said if there's a warning, take your shelter, don't go outside or anything like that. Basically, take your tornado protocols at this point. That'd be the biggest thing for that, if that were to be the case. If you can't watch the videos, you know someone that can't watch it, at least tell them about the risk. That way they have an idea on what to expect as we get towards this afternoon and into tonight here. Okay, so one more question across the board. I think that's it. Let me double check everything. Okay. All right. Yep, that's it for all the questions out there. That's the last one. So is it likely for this system to move into Memphis while it's still being very dangerous here? Memphis is on the very, very edge of this risk. Because what's going on is your system is here, which is going to be producing the severe threat here in Arkansas, but it's going to be moving away by tonight. So Memphis is on that edge of barely seeing a severe threat at all. It doesn't mean you won't see anything, and it doesn't mean that you should take this threat lightly. But I do believe from Memphis east, the severe threat just dies off. It becomes a heavy rainfall threat after that point. So Memphis is kind of right there on that line. Watch it, but I do believe your risk area, if anybody in this state has a low risk of seeing severe weather, we're talking about very low risk severe weather, it's right there along the Mississippi River because of the timing and everything else in the system moving away. So if you're along the Mississippi River or just to the east, I wouldn't concern myself too much with the system unless something overperforms. But majority of the state is game time for severe weather across the board. We'll keep you guys updated on that here. Okay, so I think that's it for all the questions, guys. One more comment. Turn your alerts on. You'll get tornado warning straight from the National Weather Service. That's the biggest thing here, guys. If tornado warning goes out, make sure you tune in because we're going to be live, keeping you guys updated on that here. Okay, so I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I appreciate you guys for listening. 9 o'clock in the morning, straight up. I will be back here at 11:45 noon with the newest update. I don't want to say that this is going to go moderate. I do believe this is if you want my honest opinion about this event, I think it's a really good enhanced. I really think it's a really good enhanced risk. I don't see the need to go moderate, but if they do decide to go moderate, then we'll be here, okay? But don't let it go moderate or anything like that to take this threat seriously. If you're in a marginal, you're in a slight, you're in the enhanced or anything like that, take it seriously, folks, guys. And we'll continue to keep you guys updated right here, your source for all things Arkansas weather.